I'm calling the meeting to order. Turn off your cell phones. Don't turn them off, turn them on silent. And Charles, I can always count on you for a kind remark. Please remind me to turn my phone back on.
Oh yeah, that'll happen, like on Tuesday?
Excellent.
Okay.
Our purpose, first I need readers, to protect and enhance city neighborhoods. The coalition shall address the needs of neighborhoods and stand in support of those needs. The coalition shall consider action when requested by neighborhood and shall work with the city commission in a cooperative spirit. That's our purpose. I remind you, the people standing are the people sitting at the table. If you're in the audience, please keep your conversations quiet so that it does not disturb us. Do we have, oh yes, please. There's going to be a yellow sheet passed around that will ask you to bring something next month because it's the holiday party. Please put something down. And if I remember, well, we can do breakfast food, cupcakes. Mary Butler, are you bringing your famous chili? All right. Yeah. Oh. That's a better way to do it. Okay, thank you. Okay. Anyway, there's going to be a yellow sheet come around sometime today. If you don't see it, that lady right there standing has it. I thought the paper was yellow. Okay, never mind. It's that red folder. All right. Is anybody at the table here for the first time? Ma'am, your name?
Avondale, filling in for Dean.
Welcome to our welcome. And Laurel from Laurel Park.
Gibson Johnson filling in for Helen Heather in Laurel Park.
I know you. Have we not met before?
I have a record.
Officer Matt, run that man.
All right. Good. Where? Lou, there you are. Honored guest, please.
Everybody, thank you for coming, and I hope everyone made it through the storms okay. I just want to tell you that the water, I was lucky, the water came within a foot of entering my house. It was scary. Okay, I don't see our county commissioner. I know he's got a lot to do with Siesta Key. Mayor Liz Albert, thank you. Vice Mayor Jen, thank you. I don't know if can I see Debbie, Commissioner Trice? Is she here yet? No. Okay, I want to thank Interim City Manager Doug Jeffcoat. Doug, there you go. Come on, stand up. There you go. Deputy City Manager Pat. Thanks, Pat. And I believe we got Officer Matt here. And here is Commissioner Trice. Thank you. And I'm looking for Nancy Kelly. I think she's on vacation. She's away. All right. Thank you, everybody.
And of course, Mr. Lewis in the back, who's going to be speaking to us in a few minutes. Thanks, sir. Okay, let's move on. Matt, grab that right there, that dongle, that doodad hanging.
Got it, yep.
Bring it, the whole thing. All right. And I'm going to give you that. And So what was the name of your PDF, Matt?
PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Should have said, PowerPoint, hard stuff.
Yeah, like-
CCNA.
No, that's not it.
Okay.
Start talking, I'll get it up.
Okay.
Can we just go ahead and start with this?
Start talking.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me today. Hope everybody had a good Halloween, and hope everybody made it through the storm okay. So just to start, we have October crime stats, starting with murder. We had 0 this past month. Aggravated assault, we had 16. Robbery, we had 4. Sex crimes, 1. Burglary, we had 14. Larceny from a vehicle was 10.
Matt, there you go.
Oh, you want to hand me the? Yep, perfect.
It is.
Awesome.
There you go, boss.
Thank you, sir.
Let me get out of your way.
And then motor vehicle theft was 7. Now we're going to compare for year to date from 2023 to 2024. So we're going to start with murder. In 2023, we had 0. So far this year, we've had 6. But the good thing is, like you will see throughout the rest of these slides, the crimes are down this year. So it's a good thing. So for aggravated assault in 2023, we had 191, and right now we're at 175 for 2024. Robbery, we had 68, and now we're only 40 this year. Sex crimes, we had 31 in 2023 and 20 this year. Burglary, we've had 132 in 2023 and 126 this year. Larceny from vehicle, we are at 229 for 2023, and then 119 for this year so far. Motor vehicle thefts, we are at last year we had 119, and this year we're at 93. Some of the October traffic stats we have for you. Speeding stats, we had 29 citations and 36 warrants for speeding. There were 204 crashes. 2 of these involved pedestrian, 8 involved the bicycle, and there was 1 fatality this year, or this month, excuse me. So some crime tips for the month. Because it is the holidays, we just want you to be aware of your surroundings when you go shopping. Always park in a well-lit area. Bring your belongings, keep them closer to you. So people can't take them. Be careful when you're approaching your car. Make sure you have your keys ready to go. If it doesn't look right, don't get out of your vehicle. If you're shopping with a kid, make sure you teach them, if they get separated, to go to the closest security officer so they can let them know that they're separated from their parents. And then we have some upcoming events. Veterans Day Parade, Painting with Police. The Sarasota Pines Veterans Day Parade that we'll be helping them out with, the Sarasota Holiday Parade, and Shop with a Cop. And then please connect with us through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, X, and then emergency line 911 and non-emergency 941-316-1199. Thank you. Any questions? Yep. Oh, I'm sorry.
What was the question?
Mary, you want to know which one for the separation, right? Is that the one you're asking for? Oh, holiday. You want the? Oh, sorry. I apologize.
Repeat the question, please.
She just wanted to know what day the holiday parade was on. It's going to be 12/7, and then 7 p.m. to around 10 p.m. Any other ones?
Yes, I have a question. Valerie from Housing Authority. I'd like to know why on 23rd Street and I believe it's Osprey, is continual gathering there. People can't even drive through the street. So they're doing all kind of criminal activity on that corner. And some of it's been going on ever since I was a teenager, and I'm 68 right now. So I don't understand why the police continue to allow it to go on, because it's crowded there, a lot of gathering there, and it's in our neighborhood, and it's been like that. Shootings have happened on that street, and when the officers come, not like they have a empty car sitting there because a shooting took place, and the mother is afraid, and yet, it just seemed like, okay, whatever, what's going on with that?
Right here, Valerie. Thank you.
Sir, do you have anything you want to add on that, Pat? I'm sorry, I don't.
No, that was, thank you for the
But
statement. We're
just-
working on it, Valerie, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Officer Matt.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Have a great Saturday.
Okay, let's move on to our special guest. Mr. Lewis from the county. He's the head cheese there. And so he's gonna talk to us about things mutual and some growth stats, if I remember. Okay, so if you'll give me just a second here.
So logistically, what's better for you guys as this is up here? For me to sit or stand? Okay, good, that's better for me.
Should we move out of your way?
There you go.
Probably up to you. I'm probably gonna stand fairly close to this, so.
Turn on the slideshow.
Well, what the heck? You're here on the wrong day. Hi, Linda.
I have it on the phone back too, just in case.
We might. There we go.
That's not so bad.
QR code will get you the slides on your.
Yes. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Okay, so you're ready to go, sir.
Is this my clicker?
This is your clicker right there.
All right.
There you go.
We'll see how long I can go without putting my cheaters on. So first of all, thank you for having me here. I get invited once every couple of years to come in, and it's always a pleasure because as a longtime city manager and working in cities, getting to do this kind of thing at the county level is not something I get to enjoy anymore. When I was a city manager, even a deputy city manager, I'd get invited, but at the county level, it just doesn't happen as often. Actually, generally speaking, you're the only group that invites me in. So, I kind of appreciate it, even on a Saturday morning. So I am going to talk about a variety of things, but just real quick. So I do know some of the folks in the room, but I don't know all of you. Some of you I know better than others. But I am Jonathan Lewis. I am your county administrator. That means I represent the board and are responsible for all 2,200 county employees and responsible for the board and their 464,000 residents. So I have tried to tailor this a little bit more to the city of Sarasota area, but obviously what I cover is the whole county. So I can't do that exclusively. I've lived in Sarasota County since 2011 when I became the city manager in Northport. And I was there until I joined the county in 2017 with the then county administrator who told me he was gonna stay 5 to 8 years. And about 3 months after I was there, he walked into my office and shut the door, and I was thinking, dang, how could I have messed something up that already? I really just got here. And he said, yeah, I think I'm gonna leave. So, and then the board, against my wishes, made me the interim. Anybody know what that's like? And then right after that, the county administrator. So it's a little bit. My wife and I have lived here since 2011. She's a native Floridian, and we've lived on the west coast of Florida. Actually, most of our adult lives, except for a brief stint when I was the deputy city manager, almost directly across the state in Palm Bay, Florida. So that's a little bit about me. Oh, look at that! I didn't hit the right button. So, when it comes to Sarasota County, and every year, you have the census information, and that's important. We gotta have it every decade. It does a lot of things. What also matters to the cities and the county is what comes out of the state, out of the University of Florida every year, which gives our population on an annual basis, and that changed on an annual basis. So, for those of you who have I don't see anybody with their computer out really, so I'm gonna go with the fact that nobody has it in front of them. But just basically that we're 464,000 people strong in Sarasota County. You all know that's growing. How many of you lived here more than 30 years? All right. How about if you've lived here, those keep your hand up. How about if you've lived here more than 20 years? 10? And then 5 or less, put your hand up for me. Okay, good. That's actually a pretty good dispersal. So that's pretty interesting. So basically what this is saying, and I don't know if you can see it, but I certainly can't see it with this glare, so I'm just kind of winging it right now. Obviously, most of the population in Sarasota County lives in unincorporated Sarasota County. So that means on a day-to-day, the services they get, they don't have a municipality that they receive their services through, whether it's law enforcement or their local parks or any of those kind of things. So we are the primary service provider for more than half of the county. Certainly, Sarasota's population is significant. The city of Sarasota at about 55,000, and those are based on the official counting numbers. I think they're low. And obviously it doesn't have anything to do with the surge you see on a daily basis based on people coming in or out. That's just the official population. We do add, at least pre this summer and for major storms, add about 15 people per day, which is kind of mind-boggling if you think about it. And that's a good percentage of the 1,000 that are supposedly moving into the state every day. So when it comes to growth, people who have been here longer have a different perspective probably than the people who have been here in that less than 5-year category. But what I thought was interesting is I started looking at what we use as our comparable counties. Those are the ones we look at to benchmark against. So how are we doing on a certain topic? How do they handle a situation? We look for best practices or practices, oh my gosh, we certainly don't want to do that. But we use benchmark counties, and what I thought was interesting, when you look at this, the green line, if you can see it, at least the color, is Sarasota County. I didn't expect to see things like when you deal with the growth rate that's projected, that we would be below Charlotte County and Manatee County when it comes to that, and then Osceola County is off the charts both on projected growth and actual growth. So Sarasota County is actually the 21st county in the state out of 26 when it comes to growth. I know we all think, those of us who've lived here for a while, we think everybody's moving here, right? But that's actually just not the case. The whole state is experiencing this. Even the rural part of the state where both my brother and sister live, anytime somebody moves into their counties, it's an issue and they think that's too much growth. So it does put a squeeze on resources, both for you and for those of us who are required to provide services. But it is the reality of the Sunshine State, and A lot of what we were built on as a state overall, and certainly Sarasota County being more than 100 years old, has experienced. So one of the things that, again, you know, there are some local government things that you just kind of geek out on because that's what you do for a living. So whatever you did for a living, I'm sure there's things you get geeked out on too. But I think when you look at the city of Sarasota, which obviously, you know, at the beginning, 3 years ago now, was the population center and the bulk of it. But when you look at the shift in the red dots are the shift in the population center to our geographic center. And you can see that population shift is kind of heading right for that geographic center within the county. So actually the majority of our growth happens in unincorporated Sarasota County and the city of Northport. That is where you're seeing the most residential growth in the county. Let's see if this video plays. Oh, go back, please. You're going the wrong way. Bottom button, he said. Let's see if this video plays here. It's a great video, it is fun. So, of course, you probably can't see it, but when you get the QR code, these green areas are, come on, play. I'm telling you, it's a great video. It should just automatically play.
Well,
Let me go back one more and then re-forward it. Let me go back one more. Let's see what happens. Well, trust me, it is an amazing video. Well, what it shows you over time, and when you get the QR code, the video should
oh, it's
load
down,
free.
let it download.
Oh, it's downloaded.
It
Yes,
should.
it is.
It's down, it's down.
I'll take your word for it, because I cannot see that.
Well, the bar went away.
Okay.
Download.
Well, while it's doing that, I'm gonna explain to you what you're gonna see is, you're gonna see that in 1950, this is where the population growth occurred. And then over time, it's gonna show you where the population growth, first by decade, and then by smaller increments, and ultimately by year.
Is it not showing?
No, it's loading,
Is it not showing here?
not yet. But we're only gonna go for about 5 more seconds, and then we're gonna skip it. Basically, it tells you, if you don't travel all of Sarasota County, what it tells you is that while
It's not playing here yet.
that's fine. The population growth started here in Sarasota County, that's what it looks like. But the explosion over the past, since really the 1980s, has been down in this part of the county with massive explosion in population here in the city of Northport as you went from 1990 really into the 2010 timeframe and beyond. I hope you get a chance to look at it because it is kind of, if you're interested in what population growth looks like in the county, it is interesting to see that retrospective, and each one of those dots represents that increase in population. So, and Commissioner Smith did have another commitment today. My mind wants to tell me that it had something to, I'm sure you all have met Esther. It had something to do with Esther, and I think we can all say that listening to her is probably in his best interest. Just saying, right? That's probably pretty true. So that was pre Hurricane Helene. He told me that, so I may have the wrong event, but I do believe that was the case. So from the county perspective on a staff side, right? So I don't do politics. I don't vote in commission meetings. Actually, it's pretty rare where you even hear me talk in a county commission meeting. When I was a city manager, I had to frequently. It just operates a little differently. As a county administrator, most of my work is done with my staff long before we get to the meeting, and then the board sets the policy. Most important thing my board does every year for me, it's actually not the budget. The most important thing they do for me every year is set their strategic plan, which identifies both their vision, mission, their 5-year goals, and then what are the policy action items they want to focus on that year. Because I'm not elected. So I work on the things that they identify as important. Now, I'm not talking about did we mow the median, right? I'm talking about big policy issues and what that looks like. So, just taking a look at it, the goals have been fairly consistent, but it talks about exceptional county services aligned with resources, things like world-class amenities, quality of life amenities, and it's clear in the details on that. That is not just tourist-based. They actually are specific about for people who live here now, but also the tourists. Safe place to work, live, and play, because what strategic plan can exist in the municipality without having that one? Robust, growing business opportunities, and the one they put on me, high-performing county team. So the 2,200 employees that work for me, how are they doing at their job every day? And we do an annual citizen opinion survey that talks about that. But they also set their policy agenda. And the policy agenda is more one-year focused. What policy discussions do they want to have? They're not saying they know the answer. They know the answer, there's no point in putting it on the list. It's things that over the course of the year that they want to explore, they want to talk about, where 3 out of the 5 of them decide what kind of action we're going to take on any particular topic. So one huge one this year that just really won't get that much attention had to do with the 3rd reservoir at Peace River. And I'm sure you're all going, oh, of course, the 3rd reservoir at Peace River, that is important. I'm glad we did that. No, most of you probably don't know that. But for the region, the 4-county region, Manatee, Sarasota, DeSoto, and Charlotte, we get the majority of our water supply through the Peace River Water Authority. It's an authority that was created by the state with the sole intent of making sure that we have water supply. So the county took very aggressive action as one of the 4 members on that board to make sure the county, and then the opportunity for our cities if they chose to participate, like the city of Northport chooses to get some water from us, protecting our water supply and making sure we have water supply to deal with any growth that does occur for the next 50 years. And that's what that 3rd reservoir will do. To put it in perspective, the reservoir is so big, it takes 2 years to fill once it's built. The existing reservoir is large enough if you ever get a chance to go out there and tour it, and they will give you a tour. It actually gets its own tidal force. It's so big. 6 billion gallons of water when it's full. The next one most likely will be 8 billion gallons. So, but then there's things like how do the county deal with regional parks, because we're in the regional park business. We're not in the small or neighborhood park business. And so prior to this year, the county had not taken action to build a new regional park in more than 20 plus years. So we did break ground on a brand new regional park at 17th Street, just off Fruitville here, which will create lots of opportunities both for youth sports and adult sports. It's where our softball complex is now, but really enhancing that property and really taking it to new heights. And then just recently, the county, actually 2 meetings ago, struck a deal with the city of Venice where we are taking ownership of Wellfield Park, which is a large park down there, which we will, over a period of time, because it's going to take a lot of time and money, convert and make our next regional park. It serves as a regional park now, but it was the city's asset and it was starting to get dilapidated. They're giving us $20 million towards the anticipated cost of retrofitting and improving it. So both of those were hit this year. One of the other ones I'll just touch on, because I was told to by Mr. Harris, is affordable housing. And I'm going to show a slide in a minute, but the sheet of paper you have in front of you does detail kind of what we consider our facts on the things the county has done really since the beginning of 2018 to take actions around what optimal housing, workforce housing, affordable housing, whatever term you want to use. The county commission has taken the position primarily. Our role is to create mechanisms for people to choose to get into that business. However, we do fund others, and I'll talk about that in a second here. One of the other huge things that the county is working on for the first time in probably 40 years is our facilities. While we do a good job of providing facilities, because we fund your constitutionals, we fund the sheriff, tax collector, supervisor, elections, clerk of the court, and property appraiser under state law. We've done a good job of keeping their facilities updated and modernized and dispersed where there's population growth, but we haven't done a very good job on county facilities itself. So, of course, our downtown was this little blue dot here. Not have to worry too much about the words, but we're leaving downtown. We thought it was the opportunity, going back to 2019 in our strategic plan. The board said, hey, we need to, with all the economic development growth that was happening in the city and the downtown core, create that opportunity for more economic growth, but also to get us out of a flood zone, considering that is our main county building with our, for a long time, it was the county's EOC. Not sure why we have an EOC in a major flood zone and a building that old with one of the four walls, which is really just a fake wall, but that's what we did. So we're moving out off Fruitville in 75, just to the other side of 75. But we couldn't afford to build a building that houses everything that we have in the building now. And from an operational perspective, I was not comfortable. I'd rather have my Parks and Rec administration team near my Parks and Rec operations team. So they'll be going to a building at Twin Lakes Park because that's where our operations center is. My fire department, which currently operates out of admin. Of course, right now, none of us operate out of admin because the storm took care of that for us. But so literally, there are none of us in the admin building on Ringling. But up until now, the fire department has been there as well from an administrative perspective. They're going in a building right next to the EOC, which is right down the street from the sheriff's office, and you can think for us why that makes some operational sense. And just like the city was doing with creating a one-stop center for planning and development services kind of items, the county is also doing the same thing, and we're consolidating multiple locations. So whether you're a resident in unincorporated Sarasota County, or a contractor or a builder, come to one location and hopefully don't have to visit 4 different buildings to get an answer to your question. Hopefully you can just get answered it on one trip. So, and I know the city has been excited about what they're doing with their one-stop as well. So, so basically it just shows the geographic dispersion of where we're going. It really, for the first time, will give us the opportunity to have so many things in a corridor. We're spread out. I have more than 400 buildings. Some of them are little shacks. Some of them are places people work out of every day. But you can imagine the logistics that goes behind that and the ability to put them closer together so we can have our employees closer together and more opportunity to work together is a good thing for us. You know, I mentioned 17th Street. These are some major parks that we're working on. Park improvements at Kensington, which I think has been talked about for like 40 years. No, it's been a long time. I think it's been since the 80s. So they're actually in there now. Philippi Creek tributaries and some of the stormwater work behind that. Any of you drive Bahia Vista on a regular basis? Yes. We cannot wait till that project is just 100% done. That has just been the most painful. I've been doing this a long time. That is the most painful project I've ever been a part of. So, and then one of the things we're really proud about it at the county level is we believe the quality of water here in Sarasota County is one of the most, if not the most important thing we have to provide our community. And when it comes to water quality, one of the things we control is what comes out of our wastewater plant. The city for a long time has been at advanced wastewater treatment. The county has not. And we're doing a major, the most expensive project the county has ever undertaken to convert our biggest wastewater plant to the highest level treatment. Basically, when it comes out, I'm not saying you'd want to, but when it comes out, it's drinking water standard. So less than 3 parts per billion, which is the standard by the state and federal government. And we're converting our other 2 smaller plants as well. So we're very proud of that. We know that's something we directly control regarding water quality versus telling other people what to do. And so that's something we've undertaken to make sure that we're taking care of our stuff. One thing I can't go out and talk about without addressing is our Legacy Trail. It, by any measure, from a usage perspective, has been a massive success. Obviously, the residents of Sarasota County overwhelmingly voted to have us do debt service and voted to do a millage rate to fund that project. Couple of the upcoming things that are going to be happening, you'll see the construction on a couple of these actively being done, but you'll have overpasses going in at Tuttle, Bahia Vista, Beneva, and Clark. And some of those are under construction right now, as well as the potential for future expansion of that system, both by our municipalities, as well as the county as we go forward in coming years. I think the community will continue to prioritize how do we continue to grow that so it hits more areas within the county. I'm not gonna go through all this, but I do wanna point out, and it should be on that sheet, when it comes to affordable housing, the other thing county has done other than getting obstacles out of the way is when we've received money from the federal government, we have taken the lead at putting that back out in affordable housing. Now, we're not gonna do it directly. We are not interested in providing direct affordable housing services. We don't think we would be good at that at the county level. And now I will say as the administrator, the board gave it to me to do, we'd rock it. But just philosophically, we don't believe that we should be doing that. Instead, others that currently do it, whether it's the Sarasota Housing Authority or others, we did a competitive process, had them apply for the funding, had them tell me how many units they could do, what percentage AMI, all those types of things, and then those applications went in front of the board and the board prioritized. When it came to this seems like 100 years ago, but the COVID money that came in, the American Rescue Plan money, Sarasota County took the lead in the state. There was only one other jurisdiction that got direct funding from the federal government that put more into affordable housing. We put 30% of our money into affordable housing, which was 25 million of that allotment. And we're starting to see those projects come out of the way. As it happens, a lot of them are in the city of Sarasota area, not all in the city of Sarasota, some are. But there's also projects down south in Venice and unincorporated Sarasota County that we've done. And then we did that again when we got the disaster money after Ian. The board took the same position. And if we get disaster money, as it relates to everything we've all been through this summer, I would anticipate the board would take the same type of action going forward. Okay, so how could I be a good county administrator who was a finance director once upon a time if I didn't say our finances are really good? We are AAA rated, so if you think about your personal credit score and what that falls in terms of your ability to borrow money cheaply, Sarasota County is AAA plus. That is the highest rating we can receive on a general obligation basis. We're a AA plus on our utilities, which for all practical purposes on a public utility is the highest you can get. So that means if we have to borrow money, and sometimes we do, we're able to borrow it at the cheapest rate possible, and by getting those infrastructure improvements done for the community at the lowest rate sooner, because we're able to borrow the money early. Our budget is overall about $2 billion. Now, some of that is not mine. Again, I mentioned I fund the constitutional offices. Some of it's utilities, some of it's solid waste. You take that out, the general fund money, which is largely supported by property taxes, is about I'm gonna use round numbers, about $300 million. And the biggest piece is that is us investing in public safety and our sheriff's office. Everything else goes down pretty quickly after that in numbers. Do any of you care about where the county's at with debris? To put it in shortly, we have passed the 550,000 cubic yard mark a couple days ago. In unincorporated county, the debris is getting picked up. And of course, everybody feels like it's not happening fast enough for them. We put together a 90-day plan, submitted it to the state. We fully anticipate everywhere in unincorporated Sarasota County will be done within 90 days. And because the federal government was able to declare us 100% for debris for both Helene and Milton very quickly, usually it's much later in the process, when we opened up our sites where residents could drop off vegetation, usually we can't do this, but this time we opened up to municipal residents as well. So if somebody gets tired of having it in their yard and they want to take it themselves, and it's storm-related vegetation, they can take it themselves. Usually we can't do the municipalities, but this time, since we could, we did. Skip that, and I'm gonna stop there. I'm at questions, though. Let's stop.
There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Questions?
Yes, sir.
the things you mentioned with the Northwest
Dennis.
Lippy Creek
Hold on, hold on.
tributaries.
Hold on.
What is that project?
Yeah, you're getting yelled at, so I'm not doing anything until they're done yelling at you. I can repeat it.
Battery died on that. That's good enough for Dennis.
Okay.
A dead mic. Is that what you just said you're giving him?
Dennis Bischoff, Lido Shores. I just wanted to know what the Northwest Lippy Creek Tributaries project is.
So it's a bunch of projects. Some of them have to do with how they're cleaned out. Some of them have to do with some grant funding we've been able to receive to clean them out. Others have to do with some of the neighborhood enhancements, the light around Bahia Vista, and what we're able to do with the canal system there. But I do believe, well, I know in January, my board is gonna be having a workshop to talk about stormwater generally, and particularly the unincorporated. The only city we do any maintenance services for stormwater is the city of Sarasota. Venice, Northport, Longboat Key do their own. And one of the things the board has asked us to do is to go back, and particularly with areas like Philippi Creek and what way water flows matters, where the rainfall matters. You can have rainfall in Sarasota County, doesn't mean it's coming in your area. And they want to do a refresh study on what that looks like for those off the tributaries in the Philippi Creek area.
We got a question over here?
One more on that. The reason I asked that is my daughter and son-in-law live on Philippi Creek and got really trashed during Debbie. Is that gonna help the flooding situation? That's basically my question.
Sure, no, that's a very reasonable question. I'm gonna answer it probably more directly than I should. We get 18 inches of rain in that short a period of time? No, probably not. Now, they are gonna take steps to give us the long-term plan of how we can do different things with that. But I mean, that was historic rainfall. Those of you who have been here a long time, I don't know if there's anybody in the room who was here in the 1960s, but that was really the last time you had that kind of impact. And the way the rain fell, and then the way the water flows, it just all went to Philippi. Not all, a vast majority of it went to the Philippi Creek area. And if you think about that, so I was the city manager in Northport, like I told you. So I was the city manager, I mean, the whole Florida was a swamp, right? But we were certainly a swamp when we were first developed. And everything's off drainage canals for ag. That's just how the city was built. We would watch the range gauge all the way up at 72 in the state park, because we knew, give or take, an inch at 72 would relate to a foot of water rise down in Northport. And people just don't think about that. So really the bulk of the rain fell out east and north, kind of in the Verna area, but the way the water slough works, it all ended up here. So we do need to refresh that. We do need to look at other options. I think it would be unrealistic to say, and look, this is not a statement on politics. This is a statement on fact. We know water is rising in the Gulf, and we know the tidals matter more than they even used to. And so when the rain falls and what that looks like from a tidal perspective is something we have to figure out. Yes, obviously our level of standard is, yes, you'll get water on the road, but our level of standard is also there should never be water in homes. So that's what we're working toward. We have one of the most aggressive standards in the state. The city, I think, is going to it as well, which is the 100-year rain event. Most places do 25. But my board's even talking about, do we need to, on further growth, look at that? And then how would we retrofit the things we're responsible for to maybe even get a more intense period of time? So I don't know all the answers to that, yes. Do I think we're gonna do things that make it better? Well, yeah, or why do it, right? But I don't know, that was pretty crazy. Debbie was pretty crazy.
Thank you.
Over here.
Yes, so I see that,
Name and name.
oh, Valerie Bouchard, housing. So, you were, talking about allocation. When you, allocate dollars for affordable housing, do you enter into agreement for the funds that you give to the housing authority, and do y'all follow up on what is happening with your dollars that is being given?
So probably to William's displeasure, So for example, 2 projects, the county commission funded with that money. One was the next phase of Lofts on Lemon. The other was, I wanna say Central Gardens, but that's not correct. Maybe it was Cypress. I can't remember the other one, but we pick at the agreement so much and the deadlines we put on it, that they just came back and said, hey, look, we can't do that project on time. Can we put this money over here, because that we can get on time? So when it comes to the allocation, because remember, most of that money is money we get from the federal government, and if what we allocated it for and what we told the federal government is gonna get used for doesn't happen, we have to pay it back. And we pay that back with all your money. So yes, we now, the standards that go into the contracts are the standards that go in the contract. And I will tell you that we have very good working relationship with folks like Mr. Russell who are in that. But yeah, we do hold them accountable. Even places like the Loveland Center down south, which is primarily a service provider for those with disabilities, adults with disabilities. But they're adding a component for seniors and affordable housing with that, so they can kind of have one support the other a little bit. And we're gonna hold them to the same standard. Everything that's under the contract, we gotta make them do.
So is that public records?
Absolutely.
Can you get, okay. thanks.
Absolutely. They're all voted on in a public meeting. All the contracts are approved in a public meeting by the board, 100% of it. Yes, ma'am.
Mayor? Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Name and neighborhood.
Yeah, Sherman Baldwin Park East. Thank you, John, for being here today. I appreciate it. As a small business owner, I'm speaking to a lot of small business owners, and we're all trying to rebuild and recover and all of that. What resources for small businesses are available to the county? And then secondly, and this is for the city as well, is there a way to expedite those that are trying to rebuild after the storm for permitting and things like that? Because I'm getting reports where they just get on the list, which I understand, but if they're doing damage repair to get open and hire weekly wage workers, somehow expediting the permitting process would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
No, and that's a question not just on the commercial side. It is a question on the commercial side. It's also a question as people are trying to restore their homes and get back into their homes as quickly as possible. I'll tell you what I do immediately after the storm. Once we know that we've had significant damage, my board has entrusted me, under Florida statute, the counties are responsible for emergency management. Cities have emergency management function, but there's some things that the county is just responsible for. When it comes to when the storm comes through, even before the board can act, I put into effect a waiver of building permit fees for things related to damage recovery. So we try to put as many things on that list as possible. And then I take it back to the board, because I'm not gonna wait until we have a board meeting to put that in place. So I put it in place, and then I kind of cross my fingers and hope my board agrees with me. Fortunately, in every storm that I've done that, they have, because I take it back them for either them to yell at me for the action I took or to ratify it. So that is one thing we do immediately, which is to remove the financial barrier of the permit, right? Particularly in a year like this, it's true anytime, but when you have businesses that have been wiped out 4 times in 1 year, any little thing you can do matters. When it comes to expediting, the problem is, yes, we do expedite, however, we have more than 4,000 impacted structure, either major, minor, or destroyed throughout the county. So I can't prioritize his over his when they both were damaged by the same storm. At that point, I do take those in order. But we do try and expedite them. One of the things we've gone to try and expedite it even more. Fortunately, we were working on this just to be a better organization, is the amount of things we can do through these things. If there's something that the building inspector, because the building official under state law is responsible for that, I can't even tell the building, I could get rid of the building official, but I can't tell him how to do his job. It's protected on state law for very, very good reasons. But if there's things he's confident he can protect the homeowner on and do his inspection and make sure that the contractor can video it. We don't do hot water permits, but that would be a good example to me. But there are ones we do. And then we have ones that are over the counter. Basically, you can call them in over the phone, certain roofing permits, things like that, and those are like that. I wish drywall was one of them. I'm not quite sure why it's not. We're looking at that. We have a whole list of them we're looking at fixing this year. And the board at our last meeting just approved a whole nother round of steps that we're gonna take related to expedited permitting. It just got approved at the last meeting, So now we'll work them into the system for the future, but we do try and prioritize those. So even for damaged debris, unincorporated county, our main area hit was evacuation zone A. So anywhere in evacuation zone A. I don't live in evacuation zone A, I live out east. Do I have plenty of vegetation? Yes, but I can wait. We need to get the areas along our coastal area cleaned up, the businesses and residents. I have no problem waiting personally until they get their stuff out of there and that they can even begin rebuilding and before somebody comes and gets the debris at my house. So we do try and prioritize those things accordingly where it's practical.
Jonathan, Mary Butler, Emerald
Good to
Park
see you.
Neighborhood Association. On the county surplus properties, the 2501 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Way, I see here that you guys have sold it. Who have you sold it to?
So I mean, it's a corporation. I don't remember the corporation's name, but it's a group that's made up of a gentleman named Eldon Johnson, and a group he works with, which has done affordable housing not just here but in other places. And again, that went through an application process. They got applications, anybody who was interested in that money, and then they competed based on.
Okay, and I want to add to that. And how, with 25% of the units being affordable for 10 years, what happens after those 10 years? They are no longer affordable? Is that that's what this is saying?
Yeah, they may not be. So at some point you do have to put a threshold in, and believe it or not, in the application process, what we went for was 30. But at that point, that was the best we could get out of those who were interested in, so the question is, do you want to get no affordable housing for that period of time? Or do you want to take advantage of it and at least make a step in that direction and get it for a while? So.
Okay, and my very last one, the culverts. I understand right now the storm debris is definitely a priority, but when can we expect some work to be done on our culvert cleanings in our community? Because that's
So
where a lot of the flooding.
Are you talking about routine cleaning or as it relates to the storm itself?
Routine cleaning. I mean, I haven't seen any in my neighborhood in a long, long time.
So everything should be on a cycle, and you and I can talk about that. You can give me specific examples, and we can talk about that. Generally speaking, I mean, depending on the type, culverts are a little bit different than stormwater ditches, and stormwater ditches are a little bit different than stormwater canals. I went and looked at one off 47th Street the other day in the city, because I had a gentleman who was very agitated. Apparently in our system, it's listed as a canal. Not really sure how we get it. It is a ditch. I mean, whatever the system is, it's a ditch. And if that's the level of service that we expect, it is something we're going to be revisiting, because what I saw was not something I'm okay with. So we can talk about specific ones and maybe either by email or phone, and we can take a look at those.
She was next. She was first. Well,
I'm closer. I'll bring in the mic. Who was it? Was it you?
Yeah, just a quick question. You said that 30% of the COVID money went into affordable housing, and then you said an amount, and I didn't catch the amount.
25 million.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. That was an easy one. The only person that beat it, the only group that beat us in the state of Florida on total dollars was the city of St. Pete. So when it came to counties, we put more in attainable housing than anyone else.
My name is Marissa Dawson, president of Central Coconut. I have a couple of questions. Number one, that property 2501 MLK was used for debris the last hurricane. Many of our residents can't get all the way out to Twin Lakes Park. Was there no way that you all could communicate with the new owner and ask
it should be being used right now.
For debris?
Yeah.
I'm not aware of that. I'll have to look because it's not anywhere
We got it authorized.
I see it anywhere on your websites or anywhere. I'll look.
Yeah, so that's MLK in total. But that was,
yeah,
and I can follow up with you, but that one was going to be activated both for C and D and vegetative, but it's not residential drop off. So we do have,
so the public can't use it?
They can, I mean, it's the public stuff that's going there one way or the other, right? It's not like it's coming from private businesses, it's coming from residents. But it does wait until the debris hauler brings it there.
So I can't take my trailer full of debris. That's the issue, because a lot of people would like to take it, and Twin Lakes Park is so far away, and that's the closest one.
Actually, it's Rothenbeck Park.
Rothenbach, but it's still
It's
pretty
Rothenbach
far away.
And then the Jackson Road transfer station.
Right.
Those are the two places we have open.
And
And
there-
some of that's just an issue of, there's only so many we can open at one time.
I understand. Next, Midnight Pass is the only silver lining in this whole mess. Has the county made any decisions about that at all?
I don't know, it depends what you mean by decisions.
County, I'm sorry, the county.
Yeah, it depends what you mean by decisions. So long before the storms, my board had prioritized all 5 of them, that they thought doing whatever we could with the state and federal government to reopen it. Certainly, what happened in Milton was not going to keep it open. I mean, it was almost closed by the time Milton came. And then at the last meeting, the county commission said, because what our process is going to try and change state law. The real obstacle is state law says, once something's been closed, if you don't immediately deal with it, that you can't reopen it. And it's been closed for a long time. We're taking the position, sent a letter off to the regulatory agencies this week. My board hasn't voted on this, but I sent it this week. We're taking the position it's open. And so we will pursue permitting that way. Now, how we will keep it open and how it will be is plain and simple about money. Because it's going to be very expensive for an ongoing basis. It really needs to be about 300 feet wide and 12 feet deep to stay open on a natural flow from itself. And we're not anywhere close to that. But the county, because my board did say to county administrator, go do whatever you can. If we're gonna have the lemons from the storms, do whatever you can do to take advantage of the lemonade that one thing is. So we're taking everything we can do to make sure we don't get to control that, but we are taking the position definitively, we consider it open. There's a nuance in the law that talks about intermittent. That's what we're taking advantage of. And we'll take steps to fight with the federal government, state government about allowing us to keep it open.
Thank you. My last question is on the Whitaker Bayou. The county's in charge of keeping that open. It got flooded pretty bad during the various storms. Is there any plans to do any kind of dredging or maintenance on that? And thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely. So Whitaker's one, actually, we get a lot. We have a lot of communication with the people that live in that area about that particular topic. It's actually a project on the county's list separate from the storm. So what a lot of people don't, maybe you guys know this, but what a lot of people don't know is an unincorporated county, about 50% of our local streets are not actually county streets. And the same thing is with a lot of those canals that you see that people vote on. There are ones though that we do have responsibility for. And that one was on the list before the storms. So I don't remember where it's on the project schedule, and I can give you my email address, and if you want to shoot me an email, I'll get you the right answer to that. I don't know if it's on the slide or not, but can I just give it to everybody now? So JRLEWIS at scgov.net. The other thing all of you should be able to do is anytime you can pick up the phone and dial 311. That should get you to our call center, and if they can't resolve your issue, they should be able to get you to the people who can.
Can I just say something really quick about
No.
311?
No, I'm not trying to go
Later. Thank you, later. We got time for 2 more questions.
Good morning. Eileen Normile from Hudson Bayou.
And then Scott.
Excuse me.
And then Scott.
Oh, okay. You mentioned you were dispersing county facilities to where there's population growth, but I didn't hear you say anything.
Just to clarify, I didn't say that.
Oh, I wrote that down when I thought you said that.
No, I did not say that. We are moving out, and we are dealing with county facilities in terms of what growth means, but the facilities aren't going where they're going because of growth.
Okay.
They're going because we already own the land, and why buy land if we already own land?
Okay.
Yeah. That's just, I mean.
Thanks for clarifying
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
But
Sorry.
the one thing you didn't talk about was a new jail.
Mm.
What are the plans
That's
for
a
that?
great question. How long do I have? No, seriously, this is, look, there are a couple of things. Sometimes people ask me the question, what as the county administrator worries me most about our future? And all kidding aside, the correctional institution in Sarasota County is certainly in the top 3, if not number 1. And part of the reason I'm worried is because there's no natural constituent to help deal with it. I mean, if you're not somebody who's in jail, you probably are not all that worried about our jail. But, so at the last meeting, he asked me all kind of good questions that we just talked about, so I can answer them. At our last commission meeting, our board authorized us to go forward with a plan to look at the properties in downtown that we already have around both the courthouse and the jail, to see how we would deal with growth on the existing properties that we own. The biggest part of that, and when we did a task force back in 17 or 18, I can't remember, through the CJC, was our sheriff believes, then and now, both sheriffs believe that a community correctional facility where we increase beds to pull people out who may or maybe either have mental health issues that are not violent offenders, or who have substance abuse problems, and those are really the issue, that we can greatly reduce the repeat offender if we can get the substance abuse or the mental health problem stabilized. It would still be secured, so I guess functionally it's a jail, but they would be separated out from the other population and receiving individual assistance. And so that we know we want to do. It's just a question of money. Moving the pieces around in downtown that we currently have in our facilities will be a very expensive proposition. So they've authorized us to go forward. We'll be working with somebody who specializes in this to see how we can dovetail the jail and the courthouse in the best way with the resources we have to keep the costs as low as possible.
Hello? Has there been any thought to moving it further south?
So, to be quite honest, if we could have a complex that dealt with the courts, the jails, the state's attorney, the public defender, the drug rehab courts, all that happens in those buildings that people are kind of, you're not using them, you don't know how much of that downtown core right there, just outside the downtown core off Ringling is used for those services. But you're probably talking billions of dollars to do that. Just to be able to buy land out east, and then, nobody wants it in their neighborhood. What I always committed to the former city manager is, when the county goes ahead with this, we will pay attention. One thing I can pay attention to is the architectural style, to make sure it doesn't look any more institutional than by function it has to. And that's still a commitment from my perspective. I think my board will support that as we go forward. But there is no practical way right now to do the jail somewhere other than where it is.
Just to follow up on the Philippi Creek question, it's my understanding from a presentation I saw from Stephen Swa that there was a breach in the dike.
But everybody has to watch the whole presentation, because it's actually not true.
Well, I was at the presentation.
Yeah, so the details matter. We actually tried to hire Mr. Swan. We're at the point of PO, because most of our stormwater system was actually designed by him, because he was the county stormwater.
Right. Well, my question.
We can't get into an argument.
No. I just the way the newspaper has portrayed this information in terms of editorial is a little annoying to me. The what ended up on the Philippi Creek and what happened in the celery fields has nothing related, because it's in a different slough than where the breach was south of Rothenbeck Park. That has to do with why Laurel Meadows was impacted. But it doesn't have to do, the water was gonna go where the water was gonna go anyway. What he talked about is that maybe in the projections, that what ended up on Philippi Creek, even though all the models said it would have about a foot more water, the reality was it was a foot less water. So yeah, theoretically you could have lowered a gate and maybe a foot more would have gone through, but we don't do that as a matter of practice, because we don't want to flood Philippi Creek any more than we have to. So we do, by practice and policy, hold back the water at that gate. But the way that water wise, that water coming in from where the breach on Cowpen Slough was, doesn't touch what was there. And that's just functionally true.
But my only question was, are you planning to increase the inspections of these various, based on what?
Eileen, we have to move on. We have to, thank you. Scott? Name.
Scott Ashby, Leader Key Residents Association.
Yes, sir.
Thank you again, Mr. Bush, for your services and for being here. So this is stormwater and probably, way below your.
Not this summer.
We happen to have a resident who came to this meeting in particular because the stormwater, according to the information that we have, the stormwater sewers or the system has never been cleaned out in 2 years, and they've been trying to get it done. Anyway, that's the point.
Okay. Do you have a name or number or anything?
I'll connect you.
All right.
I'm
Good.
actually the person, if I could.
No, ma'am, no, please.
I'm just telling you.
No,
Okay,
no.
I'm just saying, I'm the person.
But anybody in the room can email me at the email I gave.
Later,
So,
later. Thank you. Sorry.
and I'm sorry how definitive I was in that response. I was just very annoyed at the editorial because I don't think the editorial took into full account what Mr. Swath said.
This one. Okay. We have plenty to do today, so we need to move on. And I think we could spend another 2 days with your time.
And I love being invited. Thank you for inviting me. We had to go back and forth on how the tech would work, and he finally put up with me on it. I really appreciate being given the opportunity. I am serious. This is one of the few community groups where I actually get to talk to community members, even in this forum that I get. So I really do appreciate the invite and being able to come out here this morning.
In 2 years, you'll get invited back.
All right, I will do so.
All right, let me kill the monitor. Thank you, guys. And seriously, I'm sorry, I needed to get things going.
They're so hard.
Yeah, thank you. So, again, thank you for Mr. Lewis. I forgot to ask at the beginning of the meeting, are there any additions or changes to the agenda? Push on the bottom. Yeah, David just talked to me about this already, so, oh, here we go. Okay, David? What? Yes.
You and I talked, and you had invited me to speak at your new business about a concept.
Okay.
Micromobility.
All right.
That's okay with you.
Well, okay, so I would like to add David's new business under downtown mobility to the new business. Is that all right with everybody? I see no objection, so we'll add that to new business. Okay, thank you, David. Approval of the minutes, which is in front of you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Lido Shores approves. Did I hear a second from Gillespie Park to approve the minutes? If there's no discussion, everybody say aye. Aye. Oh, I needed to wake you up. I usually just do that by unanimous consent. Okay, officers report. I have one thing to say. There's that. Where is that piece of? Is that it right there? The holiday. Did everybody put their name on this thing somewhere? Oh, we got. Oh, okay. It's going to come around this way. All right. And that's all I need to say right now. Let me turn this over to the first vice president for a report.
Just real quick, we got wind that David wanted to do a presentation as well. So we have added a opportunity in that QR code to actually see a second presentation. Basically you go into it and there's a button, or not a button, it just says click for second presentation. And David's slideshow, once he gets up here, will be available to you there. That's it for the officer's report. I have a couple committee reports, but we'll do those in a minute.
We will. All right. Treasurer, will you? All right.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, our balance at the beginning of last month was $5,939.95. We had expenses of $973.64 this month. The biggest part of that was our $808 for our D&O insurance, which is really critical that we have. So with all of that, our balance as of today was $4,966.31. Okay, in the package Kelly and everybody has put out, being it's the end of the year and renewal for membership forms for 2025 are coming up. The form is in the packet. This is my first year as the treasurer. It was a little bit arduous getting everybody to get it done in a timely fashion. It's here, it's in the packet. Let's get it done as fast as we can. The next treasurer, it makes it a lot easier. This is the biggest part of the job, and as soon as you can get this done, it makes life much easier for the treasurer. On this form, there is a new thing. It's in a red box at the top, and what that is they want to start a directory or some similar to a directory, and if you fill that in, you will be on the website as a contact person for your neighborhood. Keep in mind that if you fill this out, it is a public record. So if you want to do it, fill it in. If you don't have to fill it in, and you will not be on that directory. But again, I urge you as the last treasurer, please get this filled out. Please get your dues in as fast as you can for the upcoming year, because it does make life easier for the treasurer. Thank you.
District 1. She's busy.
I'm ready.
Hang on, before you do, remember to say something about Nancy's form.
I am.
Got it, all right.
So really quickly, since Flo isn't here for District 2, her and I texted, and I'm going to use her time too. On the membership directory form, there's another form, which is the form from Nancy Kelly in the city that also needs to be filled out. Please make sure you get that filled out and sent back to Nancy Kelly. For your ease, if you would like to fill them out and bring them back to next month's meeting and give them when you sign in, we are happy to take those from you.
Don't forget the CCNA Neighborhood Award. If you didn't fill that out yet and you'd still like to submit, you could do that today before you leave. The forms are right here. The explanations are on the back. Please don't lose that opportunity to let somebody be nominated. The PREP board, the Parks and Recreation Environmental Protection Board for the city. You know, we talk about parks here a lot. We care about our parks here a lot. We support our parks. Well, the PREP board needs some members. As I understand it, they can't meet. They don't even have a quorum right now. So if you know somebody you think would be a great advisory member on the Park PREP board, please ask them to reach out to Shayla Griggs and put their name in for nomination. My last thing is, when your neighborhood has something that you're communicating with the city that you feel is really important and you think you might want CCNA to support you and back you up with that, copy your district rep on that email to the city. Charlie, I'm going to pick on you. For example, Charlie's neighborhood wants Hog Creek to be cleaned out in Pioneer Park for flooding. I love looking at the public email, but I'd love to do something else with my time. So if you would just copy your district rep when you have something important happening in your neighborhood, we're happy to talk to you about it and see if we can help in any way. Last but not least, turn back your clocks and don't forget to vote.
I'll be quick for D2 rep. I'm just gonna ditto everything. I'm just gonna ditto everything Kelly just said.
All right, thank you. Committee reports. Shall we start with meaningful input? And I will let you run through those that you are responsible for, sir.
Well, for the most part, nothing has happened in the last 3 or 4 weeks except what we all have been going through with the hurricanes, etc. There are a couple of new things that have come up that we're looking into, but not really a report here at the moment. Nomination committee, you know, we're going to elect new board members next month in December for 2025. The committee, today's the last day. If you want to be considered for a board position, you must get something into the committee, email me, whatever, today. We will close off the nominations at this point, and the committee will meet probably midweek next week and try to set up interviews for those that have applied. And we do have a number of applications. But if you're interested in serving on the board, please get that in today.
Jim?
Yes, Charlie.
So when will the ballot be made available to the neighborhood? Last year we agreed that we get the ballot before we walked in the door of who the candidates are.
You and I and
I'm not
Joanne will figure that out, but
No, I'm not talking about the neighborhood. I'm asking about the officers.
oh, okay, the nomination. Okay.
Yeah, nominations.
I'm anticipating we will have that in the newsletter that goes out the week before the meeting.
Okay, great, thank you.
It requires the board to make that decision, but that's what I anticipate we will present to the board.
Okay. I believe we all agreed that we did it earlier last year, so there's not a decision for the board to make, just a timing question for the board.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And the awards committee, which you're right, Charlie, I jumped in on that. After today, the awards committee will meet here post haste and try to come up with this year's neighborhood award winner. And we got to get the trophy ordered and everything else. So that's where we're at.
All right, thank you. Neighborhood safety.
For the new people, I just want to make a statement that CCNA has 2 strategic initiatives. Neighborhood traffic calming is one of them. I am the chair. We had a meeting with staff who presented their recommendations. They have created a draft manual for traffic calming with some recommendations that are being considered. There are 2 areas that CCNA feels still need to be addressed. The 2 areas that we are concerned with are the warrant system, which rejects 70% of neighborhood requests, and the required neighborhood petition. This was presented to staff. Staff has agreed to review the areas of concern and get back to us at the end of November. As a side point, staff brought up a concern that was raised, which is valid, that they need assurances that all affected parties are notified. What they don't want is someone to come into them and say they weren't notified. This is a valid situation that we got to come up with an answer for. As a side note, we have some very talented staff members working on this. They're professional and they're talented. And I want to thank our interim city manager, Doug Jeffcoat, for taking time out of his busy day to attend these meetings. Doug, thank you.
Thank you, Lou. And the last is parks, the parks initiative that we just started. The board, from the board volunteered, it was Daniel, Flo Entler and myself. We need one person from the neighborhoods, specifically somebody who might have a large park in their neighborhood, who would like to volunteer to help work with the city on coming up with a good idea of how we can move this forward to protect our parks, but yet allow things that are amenities, like the nest, which is right over here. Those are good things for our neighborhood. So anyway, we need a volunteer, another person for our board, and oh, good, okay. Miss Captain Sherman. Yeah, thank you. Excellent. Pardon? Oh, is there anybody else that wants to help? No? All right, I may come pick on somebody. Okay, moving on. Thank you for the reports and your time. Let's move on to old business. And in front of you, in your packet, you will see a piece of paper that has motion on both sides. This was brought forward by Hudson Bayou, Ms. Normile. So the first thing is, I need a motion. Let me back up just a second. Since this is 2 months plus 1 meeting, it's time to vote on it. It's been to your neighborhoods for consideration and approval. So let us have a motion to approve motion 1. Okay. Indian Beach Sapphire Shores moves to adopt motion 1 with a reportage of Sarasota Bay water quality. And let me read this. Request that the city management designate a staff member to receive any reports from the Sarasota Bay Estuary Program, Suncoast Waterkeepers, Department of Health, and or other similar experts that relate to the public safety testing results in Sarasota Bay, and to disseminate any concerning information without delay to the residents of the city. That is the motion. Is there a second? All right, St. Armand's Circle, seconds. Discussion. Eileen, would you like, maker of the motion? Lito Shores, would you like to say anything in favor? Any other comments? Let's do I want a show of hands. All those in favor, raise your hand. All right, any opposed? Unanimously passes. Turn your paper over, please. Motion 2. Let me read it first, and let me put my glasses back on. Concurrency of water and sewer. Request that the city update the concurrency calculations regarding water and sewer availability that must be met for any development request to be approved. The new calculation should reflect the accelerated need for updating the city's infrastructure and its apparent potential inability to handle increased population and weather changes. Is there a motion to adopt this? Again, Lito Shores. Yeah, Indian Beach Sapphire Shores. I knew where you were. Okay. Is there a second? Bird Key seconds. Again, Indian Beach Sapphire Shores, since you made the motion, do you want to speak to it? All right. Is there somebody who wants to speak to or against this? Discussion's closed. Again, show of hands. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Raise your hand. Again, unanimous. And old business. Now, new business. David Lough, you have a microphone there. Just right there. You need, you have it, where's, he what? My God, what are you guys gonna tell me?
Give him the floor.
Give him the floor. Come on up, we'll get it going. Yes.
Again, the QR code on the agenda will get you into this presentation. If you click for second presentation.
There are no videos of it. Okay, this is, I'm gonna make this real quick and blow through this. This is about connectivity and mobility, what I call vision forward. Blow it up, please. Okay.
No, the clicker won't work on this because I don't think. Try it. Go ahead and try it. The top one? Yeah. Yeah, it's the PDF. I'll scroll. Tell me when.
Okay, go.
Oops, here. Where'd it go? Where did it go? There we go.
Okay. Jonathan spoke about population growth. If we talk about the city of Sarasota, it's been about 6% in the last 4 years. That's about triple the rate that it was the last decade. So we've got a lot of people, and 60 to 70% of the folks are coming in what I will call greater downtown. Next. So there's a lot of construction. As many as 1,200, 1,800 additional units coming. They keep coming. There are going to be as many as 3,000 new dwelling units if everything happens as that's going through the DRC. So you do the math at 1.7 people per household. It could be a little less than that. We could be looking at 3,000 to 5,000 people in greater downtown in the coming decade. Next. And they're moving kind of a little bit to the east, and we know about the Quay, what's happening there next. So at the Quay, there's going to be 700 dwelling units in total there. About the big apartment complex, the Cordelia, its move-ins have started there. It's 250 units. So again, 700 units, about 1,000 people in that small area in season coming. Next. Along Main, down by the movie theater, where the new Sprouts is, over 400 apartments coming there. Next. And so a lot of municipalities have begun, and the model is getting better and better, with, some of you will remember the iRide from 5 or 6 years ago. Well, think of this as iRide 3.0. The model for the financials of this have improved. These are small electric vehicles. They're app-based. Again, the financial models have been refined in San Diego. They're recently launched in Boca Raton, downtown Orlando. And one of the things here is these as economic drivers. One of the things that Jonathan talked about was everything, the population's moving to the south. And one of the things that IDISCA feels is it's important strategically for our city to remain relevant. The county administration building is moving out of downtown. We're losing the orchestra. The Performing Arts Center is a question mark at this point. So one of the things of this kind of service, it's point to point, is to add economic development, support our local businesses, and I think we all know about the success of the Bay Runner. Next. There's one of the sample vehicles as an example. Next. And why consider now the population growth, the moat effect of 41 and Fruitville? It's intimidating to cross those, and this would help. And establish connectivity as a citywide mantra. And I'm talking about connectivity, not only physical connectivity, but connectivity as people amongst our community. Next. The idea is bigger than downtown. Cars off the road helps everybody. It's scalable. Longer term, vehicles could become autonomous. And Sarasota as an innovator, branding us as an innovator. Next. And so mobility options help mitigate parking concerns. We know the downtown merchants are concerned about parking. If Main Street is envisioned and some of the diagonal parking is removed, well, this is a mitigating factor for those residents. And it will help the Main Street take some of the potential opposition away. And we know, for example, the St. Armand's parking structure, I think, was 15 or 16 million, and that was in 2018 dollars. So do the math on what it costs for parking structures if those are part of a grand plan. Next. And so another idea is to leverage the success of the Bay Runner, maybe call this the City Runner. I don't know. These were just some first thoughts to get the idea out there. Next. And successful models do exist. We're not bleeding edge here. So the apps and the financial models, including advertising dollars. I guess there's even the possibility of, I don't know if this is too radical, but using parking fee monies in to make a possible partial contribution to this kind of an effort. And some contracts with municipalities like Boca Raton, it was a 1-year commitment. So we're not talking necessarily, if we could find a way to do this, about a 5-year deal. Next. And so at this point, DISCA, I've had conversation with Nick Patel, Wayne Appleby's city staff, I know are aware of this. I've talked to Chris Volker, the DID, the DISCA board, of course. And I'm kind of putting this out there. I don't know where we go with this, but to try and make everybody aware that this is a concept. It's a concept. There are probably 10 reasons why it's going to be hard as hell to do, but I think that it's an interesting element to our downtown that could have some benefit. Next. And so my ask is, to bring you into the conversation with multiple commissioners and staff. And I was hoping Commissioner Smith might be here, but the elephant in the room is the interlink between the county and the city, whereas the county is responsible for our bus services and so forth, and what kind of cooperation there, and what kind of the private sector could come into that. So that's all I've got. Putting it out there. Going to try and move this ahead in a way that makes sense, but I think it's an interesting concept, not just for downtown, but for our whole city. The one thing that I want to talk about is density, right? We've got this population growth, but we're going to have roughly 16,000 people in 2 square miles. So it's not only the population, but it's the density. Thank you.
All right. Any questions? All right. We got time for one question.
First, I want to apologize to the newcomers. You might not realize I actually belong sitting over here, and I raised my hand and asked a question. On the wall, you don't get to ask questions, so my apologies to you. David, I think this is awesome. My only question is, I love San Francisco, I love New York City, and when I go to those two places, you don't need a car. How do we get there? That the people that live out in the city, Central Coconut, Bayou Oaks, we can all get to downtown and leave our cars at home. That's my goal.
No, I think this would be a multi-pronged thing. We have the county's Breeze on Demand. We've got the bus service. We could potentially have this. This has to be thought through as a system, if you will, as we grow. So I agree with you, but the one thing is we kind of know that this population tsunami is very likely to be coming, and it's predictable. And to improve our streetscapes, to encourage walking, is expensive as heck and takes this kind of system properly thought through could potentially be implemented relatively quickly. So.
David? Here you go. Okay, is there, in the consensus in the room, could we do a letter of support for this?
Yes.
All right, it will come January probably. I doubt if we're gonna do any business in December, but January we'll have a letter of support ready for approval. Okay, anyway, Pat?
So I'll throw it out there. I've got a motion to make to name the, what did you call it? The city? No. It's the lowrider. It's the lowrider. Moving forward, it will always be referred to that.
All right.
Real quick.
Hang on, guys. We are late.
Be quick.
Yeah, he's gonna be quick, and we need neighborhood reports. They're important, so we'll do them. But remember, just get through them. And anyway, I'm gonna shut up.
Perfect. Always great to follow Jonathan Lewis coming in and pissing everybody off. So fantastic. He already left, so I'm glad he whipped everyone into a frenzy. But to follow up on some of the things that he spoke about reference to, so we don't all have to go around the room and talk about storm debris, right? It's when people ask me what I do, I was just in a training in Arcadia, and I said I'm picking up twigs. That's pretty much all I'm doing at this point. Just to give you guys an update, we have 2 temporary debris disposal sites. One is at the old Marion Anderson, the old city dump, we're using for vegetative. And then the Pines, if any of you have driven by the Pines, and I highly suggest that you do, we have some video on our city website that shows it. That was actually on Tuesday, and the amount of debris that's been picked up between then and now is astronomical. So as of last night at midnight, when we got our last report, we have over 201,000 tons have been collected off the streets. We believe that there's about 400 left to go, so we're about 30% into this. We have between 30 and 40 contractors working 7 days a week to get stuff off of all the streets. That's both vegetative and C&D, which is construction and demolition. As Jonathan said, everybody thinks they should be first. I assure you, I get 15 to 20 emails a day about why there's still things on the roadway. So we're trying to prioritize safety, pedestrian walkability, trying to get that stuff out of sidewalks so people can transit around schools, and then moving from the schools outward, really trying to prioritize the barrier islands because they were the most hit, like Jonathan said, the A level, trying to get that out of there. But we are working on it, I promise you that. I try to respond personally to most of the emails that come in. We try to, if there are safety concerns, please let us know, email me, and we'll try to get our contractors to take a look at it. But we are working on it, I promise you, that the sooner that we can get this off the ground and back to normal, the happier I will be, and get more sleep probably. But I can tell you that during Irma, there was roughly, it took 71 days to get everything back to normal. That's when we ceased recovery operations. It's been 19 days so far since we started operations. So 71 days under Irma, we had 3 storms in a month, and so we are shooting for, as Jonathan said, that 90-day window and try to get everything up off the ground within 90 days. That is our target, just like the county. So we are putting everything into it. We're spending the money. We're getting the resources out on the street. We are working on it. that. So just want to let that, you don't have to talk to me about storm debris. Let's just do the neighborhood reports, right? That was a plan.
That's it. All right. Which way are we headed this time? Daniel.
Okay, just two brief things. The McClellan Park Neighborhood Association is looking for a president for a while, and we finally found one. So we have our board meeting this week where we'll probably install our new president. So that's a good thing. And then also, Pat, if our debris piles are still in McClellan Park around Christmas time, we're considering decorating them with streams of colored lights. Just want to make sure that's okay with the city.
So all joking aside, where is Cherokee Park?
We're not here.
Oh, how convenient. So because there was, they have that huge Halloween thing that they do. So I actually had to call Dan DeLeo and ask him to have the residents remove the fake spider web and skeletons and ghosts from the piles, because once you do that, what do we call that? Co-mingled. And the contractors will not pick it up. So I literally had to call Dan and say, could you take the stuff out of the pile so the contractors can pick it up before Halloween? Literally, we had fake spiders and all the stuff. So don't do that. Don't do that.
So no Christmas lights on the
No
poles.
Christmas lights.
Okay.
Melinda Delpash, Tahiti Park, and if I'm not allowed to talk about debris, I've got nothing.
Duly noted. Thank you.
Ricky Lindsay, Bay Point Park. We are a small neighborhood, only about 42 homes, and we were highly impacted by both storms. 2 homes destroyed, 8 with significant damage. And as such, we have a tremendous number of vehicles coming and going, providing repair services. And somebody at the city decided that our streetlight, which could have been repaired in place, would be removed entirely. So now there is no way for us to turn left out of our neighborhood with any safety. There's 1 stop sign. There have been 3 near crashes this week alone. Our conversations with the traffic department have provided mixed messages. Everything from, we're fixing the light, to, you will never have a light there again. Seriously. This is not a matter of convenience. This is a matter of safety. There was a fatality at Orange and Bay Point, about 6 years or so ago. There is no other crossway on Orange Avenue between Mound Street and Hillview, except for Orange Avenue street light. It is an on-demand light, so it's not just going on and off for the fun of it. It has a 2-second delay for right-hand turns to maximize flow on Orange Avenue. So why the decision was made, that light has been there for 50 years. Somebody said, there's no warrant, it's illegal, you can't have it again. These are verbatim responses we've gotten. And we've also gotten some responses that were helpful. In any event, we are highly impacted by both storms, constant stream of service trucks. We are imploring the city to do the right thing and restore this light soon. It could have been repaired in place. Please return it before there's a serious accident there. The last one almost took out a teenager from our neighborhood. You cannot make a left turn out of our neighborhood at this point. And with all the service trucks, it is an accident waiting to happen. It'll happen soon. So, thank you very much.
Hugh Fiore from St. Armand's. Probably 65% of the homes on St. Armand's were impacted by it. So we also have a lot going on to try and do it. Some neighborhood people are, of course, concerned about their homesteading and what impact that's going to have if they're out of their home, and it might have to be torn down, which possibly mine might fall into that category. So we have a lot of concerns. The positive is, from a business standpoint, the Circle is reopening. Many, many restaurants are open. They all have goals to be open by beginning of December and be open for New Year's Eve, that kind of thing. Small shops are probably the biggest impact there because a lot of them did not have any insurance. So a lot of the small shops will be in serious trouble and may not reopen. We're concerned there. But from a resident standpoint, the pumps, of course, are a big concern, and we've addressed that with Pat, where we have 5 pumps that are active, and Pat just threw out a number of 12 that we probably should have. It's an old system, was designed many years ago. My only personal comment about it, and especially listening to the development downtown, is concrete is not porous. And the more of the earth that we cover with concrete, the more flooding we're gonna have going into the future. And that's the end of my speech.
Just to dovetail off of that, Hugh, thank you for reminding me. I know that if you didn't check your the website recently, I did send what we're doing on the permitting front to relax, reduce fees or eliminate fees and expedite the permitting went up on the website last week. So appreciate Jim for getting that out there. And that was all I had. Thank you. Sorry about that, Hugh.
Dennis Bischoff, Lido Shores. I just think it's an overwhelming task what the city is doing, so I appreciate it. I just wish I was a car dealer or a furniture store owner, because I'd be doing well, I wouldn't be sitting here, okay?
Jerry Fagan from Glen Oaks Villas. No storm degree comments, but I do have a mattress that's been hanging out on our street for several weeks now.
Are you laying on it?
No. And it keeps moving across the street with the wind. And I'm sorry, but you're the guy that gets things done.
No worries. If you just send me an email with the address, we'll take care of it.
It's you can't not miss it. It's right on.
Oh, you don't know me. I could miss it.
It's right by the fire station and between that and the tiki bar, and you can't miss it. It's a white queen mattress.
Got it. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Scott Ashby, Lido Key Residents Association. As everyone knows, it's been a pretty unbelievable 6 or 8 weeks or a couple of months. Been in Florida a lot of years and I've never seen anything like it. But as is everyone, we're working to get back to normal. And I gotta say personally, I don't know if this is the official association position or not, but the city's doing a hell of a good job, and I mean, they really are. We didn't have our meeting in October for some reason. So we're gonna hopefully have the performing arts people are gonna come to our January meeting, and we'd love to have you. It's the 3rd Saturday, but this, the 22nd of November is our next meeting, and we are going to, we're gonna get together there with stiff upper lips, and we're gonna hear from Selby Gardens. And we're gonna have our meet and greet on the 2nd Tuesday at Daiquiri Deck, and life goes on because we live in paradise.
I'm Marilyn Villamek from Harbor Acres, and I have a question about landscape pickup after the big pickup has taken place. Does that start like the next week, or?
So there are going to be multiple passes with the contractor. So even though they go through and pick up the big bulk stuff, we'll make at least 2 passes, if not 3 passes. So one of the things we're going to be doing is I just talked to our IT guys. We should have a map up, hopefully by the end of the weekend. We're inputting some data from our contractors to show what areas are being picked up and what areas are being completed on their first pass, so you have a little bit more of an idea of where we are with the cycle. So we were trying to get that out by the middle of last week, but we ran into some data issues between the GIS, the mapping program that we use with the contractor's data. So they were working on getting that out today, and as soon as I get that, I will put it out through CCNA to all the neighborhoods. And it'll be on our social media too. So we'll be doing multiple passes, and you're talking about the stuff like tree limbs and stuff, right? And then normal pickup, so recycling, garbage and yard waste in bags and containers will be started on Monday. So a regular, we were telling everybody put your brown paper bags up on the piles. Monday will start with regular pickup because it'll speed the process up. So Monday is normal startup. Okay.
David Lough, DISCA, just one thing. DISCA is hosting a homeless panel discussion on December 9th, and it'll be at Selby Gardens. So we're going to have the Salvation Army, the police department, the HOT team, and Suncoast. We're going to have some interesting panelists. So December 9th at Selby Homelessness.
Melissa Laughlin, Rosemary District. Just two quick things. Thank you for all the pickup. The city's doing a great job. We see it happening and are very thankful. And number two, about Overtown Square. Thank you, everybody. It's been used. We had the ribbon cutting, and last week or 2 weeks ago, a fundraiser which raised $50K for hurricane relief. So the park is getting used, and I walked by there the other day. There's people doing yoga in the park. So Overtown Square is a success. Thank you for all the work and time that's gone into it.
Good morning, Cheryl Openshaw with Avondale, filling in for Dean Anderson. Avondale did fairly well through the storm, but we did have all of the homes along Lincoln, along the Hudson Bayou. A lot of those homes unfortunately experienced some significant water damage. Dean wanted me to thank Commissioner Jen Ahern-Cock and Mayor Liz Alpert for reaching out to him during the storm and after the storm. So the other thing is that we are continuing to celebrate our 100th year founding. We've been doing that all year, and that's going to culminate with a picnic that we're going to have in a couple of weeks. And we're going to have the Sarasota High School marching bands, members of the Sarasota marching band, attend, and so we'll be dancing in the streets and celebrating our 100-year founding.
Hi, Joyce Fitzpatrick, Plymouth Harbor. You know, we're right on the water. We've had significant damage, almost 100 trees from the wind, but we had flooding. We have lost the whole first level of our building, which includes parking, the whole wellness center, pool, and storage, and it's going to take over a year. We are now down to just rafters on that first floor. The whole level is gone.
Charlie Nailsmith, Broadway Promenade. A couple things, but nothing that won't wait till next year. And I'd just like to thank the group for finding my lost mattress.
We got you. We'll get it over the.
Good morning, Beth Nutstein from Golden Gate Point. And I do have to talk about the debris, or I'm not doing my job as a representative here. There's 27 condominiums on Golden Gate Point. Every single condominium, 100% of them took on damage, whether it was first floor flooding or we, in our building, Cat 5 windows shattered. We took the brunt of the storm on the front of Golden Gate Point. Our street lights, we have 3 of 30 street lights that are working. I understand the challenge with that, but with daylight savings, we're not gonna have very much lighting in there. Our street at the entry is filled with glass from the balconies that all shared off. We have tempered glass everywhere. I don't know how that gets cleaned up. We have 10 condominiums that are being built, 10-story condominiums that are being built right now on Golden Gate Point. So think about all the construction, people trying to fix their property, and the D word, the debris that's everywhere. And I'm just telling you, it's very challenging to drive or to walk there right now. Thank you. And I do appreciate what you're doing, but
I get it.
It's it's dense. The gentleman over here that was speaking about the density, we are representative of that.
Understood.
And we're in Zone A. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that the scale of this impact, just because you can drive down the street and go to dinner, doesn't mean that we're still not in a state of emergency. So that's one of the challenges that we're having. That's why we are expending the resources that we're expending. Just because it's normal for some people, it's not normal for other people. So to your point, You know, we are actually, I'll follow up with our streets and highways crew to make sure we get some street sweepers out there reference to the glass. It's just gonna be, I don't have a time here, Richard. We will work on, we'll work on it. We're working on it. And I know Golden Gate has been severely impacted.
Thank you.
All right.
This is John Dieter from Bird Key. We've seen good progress with the first pass of debris pickup, so I'm going to pass. I think nothing critical beyond that, so thank you.
We'll keep working on it. Thanks, sir.
Eileen Normile from Hudson Bayou. We had our picnic this weekend, and we thought about postponing it because everyone is still kind of in shock and didn't know if it would be appropriate. And then we decided that we needed it. We needed the community, and that's what this group is about, and that's what the individual neighborhoods are about. And so the city was able to come in and make this little park, Pomelo Park, safe for us. And we're very appreciative that they did that. So it was a good community get together, and hoping that everyone's PTSD is on the wane.
Thank you. Well, the city's doing an outstanding job. This has been, I don't have to tell. Oh, I'm so sorry. Lynn Elkis, Gillespie Park. Oh, it's just listening to everybody. This has been overwhelming, I know, for everybody. And Pickup Sticks has a new meaning for me, I'll tell you that right now. We are planning our cleanup next week for our garden beds, which is exciting because actually the neighborhood has been wanting to do that for a while, but we've had some natural interruptions. And we are also still planning our 100-year anniversary, which will be in March. So we will keep you all posted. I'm not going to take up any more time.
Marissa Dawson from Central Coconut. Number one, I do want to say thank you to Mr. Lewis, and also thank you to Pat for being here today. I can't even imagine what your lives have been like the last 30 days. I lived through Hurricane Andrew. We lost 20 miles by 20 miles. You couldn't even find your way home. There was no trees, no buildings, no nothing. So the fact that there's been a lot of damage, but a lot of the buildings have held has been a blessing. The Whitaker Bayou homes in our neighborhood, many of them have had significant flooding and damage. The first debris pass has happened. Thank you very much. It's been fantastic. And thank you for saying that there's going to be a second and possibly third pass, because many of us in our area and also up in the Bayou Oaks, we have properties with large old oaks. We have postponed our meeting. We don't have a new date yet. We are having our neighborhood picnic Saturday, November 16th from noon to 3 p.m. at Pioneer Park at 1260 12th Street. And then the last thing I'd like to ask is, Jonathan talked about the affordable housing initiative for the county. On the back page, it talks about the ADUs and the half ADUs, which I think is fascinating because a lot of our family members in our neighborhood have older homes and would like to maybe add room on for their grandparents or parents or whatever. Is the city considering this half dwelling ordinance that the county has passed? I find it fascinating and I think would be helpful for affordable housing and for family members. Thank you.
Take a look at it.
Good morning, Mary Baller, Emeralds Park Neighborhood Association. We didn't meet last month because of the hurricane, and Robert L. Taylor was being used to assist. And so we're really looking forward, to meeting this month. The holiday season is upon us as we are still recovering. And also in our neighborhood, we have saw that some of the storm debris is being picked up. And so that was a good sight to go out there and see the people working, and you see the leaves out of my, in front of my driveway near the culvert. And that was one of the things I brought up with Jonathan, is that the culvert, just really needs to be cleaned because they started flooding a long time ago, but having them clean out will be very helpful. I know now is not the time, but eventually it will be. And last, our prayers and our thoughts are going out to the family of the young 8-year-old boy that was a part of that tragic accident involving a city of Sarasota vehicle. From what I could tell, it was an accident. He was on a dirt bike and stuff, but but it's still sad. It's still sad. And one of the things I do want to point out is that SPD did release the video. I didn't care for that at all. I just thought it was way too soon. I understand it's still up under investigation, but just to know that a child was hit, it did bother me. So, and of course they say, oh yeah, this is a little graphic. Well, I just think it was a little too graphic. So anyway, our prayers are still with the family, and maybe next time, something so tragic, especially involving a child, maybe the video could wait to be released. Thank you.
Richard Parlato from Indian Beach Sapphire Shores. Our board has decided to put off our picnic, which is scheduled for this month, and reschedule for the spring. The other comment that I'd like to make to Pat is that Sun Circle Park is cleaned up, really appreciate it. And every neighborhood is invited to participate in our park. It's beautiful. Have a good time.
So to that point, since there's about 30 seconds on that, 17 seconds, we have about 25 parks that are still closed. The vice mayor and I were talking about that. Was that yesterday, Jen? Yesterday. Some of them have had significant damage. One of the things that we are looking at is what they call hangers. So when the tree branches are breaking and they're just hanging off, that is actually a significant public safety issue, because if they come down on top of somebody. So you might not see stuff on the ground or not a lot of damage, but the park remains closed. It's one of those issues, and we have contractors that are going in with our staff and trimming those up. So we're working as fast as we can to get those parks back up and running. So appreciate that.
Thank you. My name is Alan Pariser. I represent South Point Center Park. I really do feel humbled because our neighborhood is mostly around 20 to 25 feet in elevation, so we had relatively little storm water damage. I don't think any homes got significant damage, but mostly trees and branches and that kind of debris. So I feel very humbled and very fortunate that I don't have to deal with much more difficult problems. Now, my wife had me all prepped to give you a real vitriolic statement about branches and debris removal from the streets, but by a miracle, yesterday afternoon, everything on our street got picked up. So,
well, I heard through the grapevine she was going to give me a hard time.
I assume it was planned to make sure that I was in a good mood, and I'd like to thank the city for doing that. But it's greatly appreciated because the natives were getting very restless on our street, to tell you the truth. Our centennial is next year. We were working on an event that we moved it back a month or so, but we're still going to plan on our 100th anniversary sometime in March. And despite the setbacks, we are still hoping that our streetlight update program will be added to the budget process, which I know is starting up in the next few months. We had all the commissioners and the city management staff around the neighborhood to see the situation, and I hope they'll look favorably on our project. And then lastly, even though it's not nearly as critical as things like debris pickup or renovations, we're still trying to renovate our organizational procedures and bylaws, because the state could use an update as well. Thank you.
Liz Mena from Park East. Our picnic has always been scheduled until the spring. We are slated for February 15th. Our committee is well underway in all of the planning. We're very grateful for the city's response to picking up debris. There's a lot of kids in Park East, so our park, Shenandoah Park, was in rough shape, but slowly but surely we're getting there. So we're grateful that they put some barriers so that people can't access the park, obviously because it's not safe yet. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And I think Shenandoah is high on the list. I think it's coming. I think this week they'll probably be out there. So I think that's one of the ones that are high priority. So thank you.
Thank you.
Val, before you start, based on the 23rd Osprey discussion, the chief is going to call you after the meeting. I texted with him a little while ago, so he'll give you a buzz. But we are doing operations there, so he'll fill you in. So I just want to let you know that.
So another resident commissioner was appointed for the housing authority. So we hope the right person was appointed this time. There was two people that applied. We're preparing to have our Thanksgiving dinner in Thanksgiving. People are still getting evicted. Wherein these things can be solved. We still have nice, beautiful buildings. The storm didn't knock them down. But we have some serious issues going on. But nevertheless, God is still good. That's all I can say.
All right, Stimson Shantz from Memorial Park Neighborhood Association, and I'm an alternate, but wanted to mention that the neighborhood did relatively well when I hear current status of all the other neighborhoods, but one area that really needs attention is one that, and I don't know where it stands, is the park itself, where we had a neighborhood get-together, which was supported through a city grant, and that had to be postponed, so the park needs to be reopened and taken care of.
You giving us that grant money back? We'll put an interest-bearing account. Better next time.
Norm DeMay, Glen Oaks Estates. Well, we have good news. In the last about 10 days, we have been approved for traffic calming on our major street. And we're going to be having on the south side of the street, creation of a pedestrian bike lane to help provide safety for our residents. And on the north side, a striping for parking. I'd really would like to thank Nick Patel, the chief engineer, Corinne Arriaga, who is a senior transportation planner, and Alvin Marie, who's a chief planner as well. They've been wonderful to work with. I do have to say, however, traffic calming, the request and the process is extremely challenging. It is long, it is difficult. The warrant system really does need to be reviewed and tweaked. Beyond that, after you get by the warrant system, there is also a petition system. And that is not an easy system to follow. I appreciate that the city staff is now taking a look at and reviewing both the point system for warrants and also reviewing the process as far as the petition is concerned. I do think it's a worthwhile program, but it does need to be tweaked. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Claudia Petruni from Bayou Oaks, and we had our neighborhood meeting this past week, and the candidates from our District 1 and 2 were there. We had a great Q&A with the neighbors, and I'd just like to thank all of you fine folks at the city for working at this hard times, because I know I can just imagine what you're going through, and thank you so much for all you do. My boss wants me to say one more thing, and I'm not shaking because I'm nervous. My blood sugar is about 0 right now. I don't feel a bit nervous. It's so great to be on this committee. But the other thing we talked about at our meeting was a neighbor-to-neighbor program, and it's going to take some doing. We first have to get all of the names and addresses for our neighborhood, and I think it's 2,000 homes, is that right? Around there. So, but we want to do this so we can be good neighbors and help one another. Thank you.
So we went around the room all the way. So thank you very much. And I didn't mean to say that you couldn't talk about storm debris. Just if we all talked about it,
I told him he had to say that.
Yeah, if we talked about it, we'd be here till 1 o'clock. I can tell you that is the primary focus of getting this city back on its feet. Almost everything is pretty much back to normal, and that's one of the challenges that we have. You know, and Andrew, entire neighborhoods were gone. So it was very tangible what was going on. You know, in our residential area, you know, there's not a lot of houses that got blown down, not a lot of roofs that got ripped off, so that it's not right in your face all the time. So people just think that things are back to normal. They are not. We'll probably extend the state of emergency again this coming week because of some of the things that we're having to deal with. It's like 30 seconds, man. But thank you very much for being patient, and I assure you, we will keep people on the street until this place is cleaned up. I promise you, we're working on it. So thank you very much, guys.
All right, thank you. Okay, last words, folks. Yeah. Last words. Okay. I set the timer at 1 minute 45 seconds so that we get through a little faster. I don't think anybody noticed. If you want a copy, if you want your report in the minutes, please send a copy to Daniel or me. The next membership meeting is Saturday, December 7th. It's a holiday party. It's right here. Annual award and the election of officers. Okay, this is the last night, or this night, you can either stay up an hour longer or get an extra hour's sleep. So remember to watch. Some of you have, I still have a few clocks that I have to set. So anyway, it's daylight, we're going off daylight savings, right? Yeah. Okay. If you haven't voted, get your butt over there. All right?